Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsy, and as always, I have the excellent pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Schiffman. How are you today, Matt?
I am good, my friend. We got a lot going on in this show, this new look HorseCenter show.
Yeah, this is the time of year, Matt, where everybody's talking about the Kentucky Derby Trail, and we will do a whole lot of that on this episode of HorseCenter. We're also going to talk about the big $12 million Dubai World Cup overseas, and maybe, Matt, if you don't mind, I might throw in a little bit of Kentucky Oaks.
Absolutely, Brian. You know I love the fillies.
Let's start, Matt, with Hot Rod Charlie. You remember when he was 94-1 just a few races ago. That actually happened last fall, Matt, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile when he ran a huge race to be a very good second to Essential Quality, the champion. He's come back, Matt, and he's proven it's no fluke with a good effort in the Robert B. Lewis, but in Saturday's Louisiana Derby, he was the horse.
He was the horse. My top pick in Louisiana Derby last week, folks, made me look good. They went right to the lead with Hot Rod Charlie, and he pressed the pace. And as they turned for home, it was all Hot Rod Charlie. Everything went his way. Looked good going the mile and 3/16.
Yeah, this was his first race longer than a mile and a 16th. So that extra eighth of a mile proved to be no problem at all for Hot Rod Charlie. Now, trained by Doug O'Neill, who's won 2 Kentucky Derbies in the last decade, with 2 horses who've only had 2 races before the Kentucky Derby as 3-year-olds. So he's going that route again. Hot Rod Charlie will next run in the Kentucky Derby. So he's on course. He's got more than enough points after collecting this Louisiana Derby win. He's reminding me more and more of his sire, Matt, Oxbow. If you remember, Oxbow lost a bunch early in his career, but he started to get better and better. He had good tactical speed. Hot Rod Charlie's already proven he can pass horses, but good tactical speed, already been a mile 3/16. With the defection of Life is Good due to injury from the Kentucky Derby Trail, Matt, Hot Rod Charlie has moved into the top 4 of the Kentucky Derby rankings.
I absolutely agree with that, Brian. And all those things that you mentioned that Hot Rod Charlie can do are all characteristics of horses that have been successful in the Kentucky Derby in the past 7 or 8 years. Good tactical speed, being able to press the pace or sit a little bit off of it, but not a big closer.
Yeah, and I mentioned his sire Oxbow, who went on to win the Preakness years ago. So a lot to like from Hot Rod Charlie. Disappointing effort for Mandaloon, the favorite for sure. Proxy also as well. Midnight Bourbon held on for second. I don't see him as a big Derby threat. Obesis has a long shot, rallied nicely up the rail. Hot Rod Charlie, things will get tougher again for him in the Kentucky Derby, but he's moving on in good form, as is the filly by Frosted Matt Travel Column. You know I love Frosted. Travel Column won the rubber match. I think there'll be more meetings with Clairiere down the road. But this was an impressive win for Travel Column in the Fairground Oaks.
Yeah, that's for sure. It seems like these two, Travel Column and Clairiere, the horse that has gotten the best situation, the best trip in the race, the best setup in the race seems to have done really well. And this time in the Fairground Oaks, it was absolutely Travel Column, not to take anything away from her performance. It was excellent, but she was able to get out and be part of the early pace and be part of really moderate fractions. And that meant that she had a lot left in the tank coming down the stretch, and that Clairiere was up against it, trying to make her big closing move without a nice pace setup.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. You hit it on the head. Now, Travel Column did overcome trouble in their first meeting in the Goldenrod last year. Remember that, but this year, yeah, I think trips have had a part of it, and this Fairground Oaks included. Right, taking nothing away from Travel Column because she was really, really good. She had a excellent acceleration. You're right, the pace or the lack thereof did help her in this race, but really nice acceleration coming out of the turn. She's obviously affiliate class. She looks like the favorite for the Kentucky Oaks. But on the other hand, Matt, I would not throw out Clairiere at all. The daughter of Curlin really She didn't break great. The pace was not to her liking. She was kind of between horses, too far back. She moved up once on the back stretch. She tried to rally in the stretch, and two different horses came out on her at the stretch. I don't think she was ever going to beat Travel Calm on this day, but it was decidedly a poor trip for Clairiere, one to remember as we go to the Kentucky Oaks in a little over 5 weeks now, man.
Yeah, and as we said last week when we were previewing the show, it looked like it was going to be a battle between those two. And I don't know, it wasn't that much of a battle, but those two were clearly the best in that field.
Clearly the best and two of the top Kentucky Oaks contenders for sure, Matt. Hey, folks, if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel here at Horse Racing Nation, please do that now. We really do appreciate it. It helps the show a lot. And Matt, on that note, we're going to get into what's happening Saturday. Big day at Gulfstream Park. It's their signature race, Matt, the $750,000 Grade 1 Florida Derby. So many great horses have won this race over the years. Who's going to do it this year, Matt? I think we got to, in this Grade 1, which has drawn a pretty big field, I think we have to start with Greatest Honor.
Absolutely, Brian. And like you said, so many great horses have won the race. And as a matter of fact, 15 winners of the Florida Derby have gone on to win the Kentucky Derby, and a total of 24 horses that have run in the Florida Derby have gotten victories in the Run for the Roses. So this is one of those prep races that's a serious one. Not only the 100 points value for qualifying for the Derby, but traditionally this is a race with a really good field that produces Kentucky Derby winners.
Absolutely, Matt. Those are good stats. And let's talk about the stats of Greatest Honor a little bit, Matt. I think since he's gotten to South Florida for trainer, Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee, the son of Tappet out of a really wonderful female family, has been a bit of a machine down there, winning 3 straight at Gulfstream Park, Matt. I think things get a little bit tougher here on Saturday as far as the level of competition, but still, Greatest Honor has looked so good. We might look back at that Holy Bull a couple races ago, Matt, where he just inhaled the field on the far turn.
Yeah, Brian, and like you said, I agree. The field is a little tougher in here. The additional distance going to 9 furlongs here is certainly going to be something that is a positive for Greatest Honor. And I agree that that closing move that we have seen from the son of Tappet at Gulfstream Park has been noteworthy. He sits patiently, and when it's time to go, heading into the final turn, he has picked up horses easily, gone by them easily to register classy victories. For me, if he keeps his form, he's going to be tough to beat.
Tough to beat, I think, might be an understatement, Matt. I think he's the big favorite in here, and I think if he runs to those races he's already run, it's going to take a huge performance to beat him. I know he's not huge on speed figures, but we almost saw 2 different races in the 2 graded stakes, where in the Holy Bull he really took over the race as they were straightening out. It was over. Last time, maybe a little bit more confidence. Jose Ortiz waited longer. And it looked like at one point maybe he's waiting too long, but then he just zoomed right by him down the stretch. It'll be interesting. You made another good point with the distance, because this horse, folks, looks like a horse bred for the Belmont, the 1.5 mile Belmont, let alone getting more than 1 mile and 16th, which he gets on Saturday in the 1.8 mile Florida Derby. Having said all this about Greatest Honor, the big favorite in the Florida Derby, Matt, I think this race did draw a bunch of interesting horses. I have at least 5 here that interest me in one manner or the other. Second choice on the morning line probably goes to the trainer, Bob Baffert, just the Baffert factor. But Spielberg, if you look at Spielberg, he's very experienced. He's run 6 graded stakes races already. And I thought his last performance on an off track in the Southwest at Oakland Park was very good.
Yeah, Brian, that's for sure. This horse, definitely has not been in the first string of Bob Baffert up there with, Life is Good and Concert Tour, maybe even Medina Spirit. But, this Spielberg, he's a consistent horse. He rarely runs a bad race, and a bad race for him has been finishing fourth. That second place finish in the Southwest at Oaklawn Park was encouraging for fans of Spielberg, and and you can't discount him in any of these races because at the end he's usually there.
Right, and his best performances to date, he really finished well. I'm looking at last year's Los Alfi when he got his lone graded stakes win, and then last time against Essential Quality, as I said, in the Southwest, uh, bad break. He wasn't ready for the break. He was wide the entire trip on that sloppy track. He's never going to beat Essential Quality. Essential Quality certainly had more acceleration there as Spielberg came up to him a little bit on the turn. But Spielberg, all things considered, ran a very good race there. I am a little concerned, Matt. He's got the 10 post. Javi Castellano will have to maybe use him a little bit to get a decent position because I don't want him too far back in this Florida Derby. There's not a ton of speed in here, Matt. So that 10 post worries me a little bit. But Spielberg, on his best, is a threat coming from California, as is the last horse to actually beat Greatest Honor in a race, Matt. His name is Known Agenda, and he comes from your friend Todd Pletcher's barn. The son of Curlin looked good last time.
He did look good last time, and he needed to look good in that allowance race at Gulfstream Park because he was coming off a somewhat disappointing performance, a fifth place finish where he got way behind and tried to rally late and did so a little bit mildly. In the Sam F. Davis at Tampa Downs. He seemed to be one of those horses that did not relish the going at that racetrack. They brought him back to Gulfstream Park and he liked it there and rattled off a really impressive big allowance race win, which earned him another shot in on the Kentucky Derby Trail. This is a big test. We'll see what he's got.
Yeah, and I'll mention it again. He was the last horse to beat Greatest Honor. That happened last fall in New York in a real nice stretch battle. Listen, Known Agenda's been a horse people have known about for a while. He's been a highly regarded horse. For whatever reason, after that maiden win, a sloppy Remsen, he was a well-beaten third. And then the Sam F. Davis, he was just way too far back. I mean, he really was picking up ground and horses in that race, but just way too far back. I don't think Irad Ortiz has any plans of having him farther back or near that far back in the Florida Derby. I like the prep race, nice, easy, confidence-building win. I think Known Agenda is a real threat in here, and in fact, I think he's the biggest threat to Greatest Honor in Saturday's Florida Derby. We got more interesting horses, though, Matt. We got Collaborate. Collaborate comes from the barn of Safi Joseph Jr., and Collaborate is the son of Into Mischief, who's only had 2 races, Matt. 1 loss, 1 win. What do you think?
Yeah, and is listed at 6-1 on the morning line, which I think is an indication of what's going to happen with this horse at the window. Like you said, second maiden special weight. He was a big winner by 12 lengths at Gulfstream Park on February 27th for Safi Joseph, with a trip out front. You said there isn't a lot of speed in this race, and I agree with that. But Collaborate is probably one of the ones that's going to be out there on the front. He's got a lot to do, Brian. Yeah, that was a 12-length win, and people, people get taken by those margins of finish. I think he's going to get bet a lot. I don't like the odds that he's going to come with in this race, but who knows? He could be a good one, but going from that maiden special weight to this field is asking a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you to a point, Matt, although I think I definitely do like him better than you. That sloppy race, you're right. He's extremely light on experience, and this is a tough jump up, a tough move up for him. But that sloppy race, he clearly wasn't ready or didn't like the sloppy track early on. But he's another horse who really was picking up horses between horses in that maiden race. And then the second maiden race, people do jump on those 12-length lengths. But if you watch the race, physically impressive. The son of Into Mischief, I think, has a lot of talent. I actually like him third best in here. And you're talking about the odds. Yeah, he gets bet, Matt, but with Greatest Honor at 4 to 5 or even money and a bunch of other horses to bet in here, I don't think he's going to be any lower than 6 to 1. So if you believe in Collaborate, the odds aren't that bad. And I think he's a horse of a lot of talent. But you're right, Matt. Big ask in only his third race. Nova Rags, Matt, comes from the barn of another Hall of Fame trainer, Bill Mott. There's a lot of Hall of Fame trainers in this field. I think Todd Pletcher's about to be a Hall of Fame trainer. But anyway, Nova Rags, son of Union Rags, nice win debut sprinting at Belmont last year. Wasn't quite ready for the deep track at Aqueduct in the Nashua Stakes, Matt, but his 2 races at Tampa Bay are promising this year.
Yes, Brian, and you mentioned that debut win for Nova Rags, and that is very rare for a Bill Mott 2-year-old, especially on the dirt, to have a debut victory. When Mott has debut winners, typically they're on the turf, but I think that's just an indication of the talent that Nova Rags had. And you mentioned the races at Tampa Downs. A nice win in the Pasco Stakes at Tampa, which is a prep for their Derby Points races, and then stretching out because I think there were questions at that point about the distance. Ran a nice second in the Sam F. Davis behind Candyman Rocket, who came back and didn't run well in his next start. So I don't know what that says about the level of competition in there. But it was interesting that Mott elected to not go in the Tampa Bay Derby and to run Nova Rags in the Florida Derby.
Right. He draws the rail, which may not be the best thing, but maybe he works out a ground saving trip. I kind of agree with what you're saying too, Matt. I think this is a horse who could continue to improve. Candyman Rocket's not going to win the Florida Derby, but Nova Rags was running well at the end of that, and I think he's a horse who could move forward. Tough spot, but a dangerous horse on his best. Maybe we're still not going to see the best from Nova Rags on Saturday, but I could see this becoming a graded stakes winner later in the year. I could also see Soup and Sandwich becoming a graded stakes winner, Matt. Soup and Sandwich, I love that name for some reason. Trained by Mark Casse, another son of Into Mischief, Matt. He's 2 for 2. He's been impressive.
Absolutely. And the name Soup of Sandwich, of course, it comes from the fact that this homebred Live Oaks Plantation, son of Into Mischief, the owner and breeder of Live Oaks Plantation, Charlotte Weber, is the heir to the Campbell Soup fortune, thus the Soup and Sandwich. And Brian, hey, yeah, this horse has not done anything wrong. Very nice maiden special weight victory. That was against Florida breds, so there's a little bit of question. And then a step up to open company for a nice allowance win at Tampa. 2 for 2. Again, Mark Casse, another Hall of Famer. Johnny V, another Hall of Famer, gets on board. Hasn't done anything wrong. Morning line says 20 to 1. I don't know, that seems a little high to me, but like you were saying before, Brian, there's a lot of horses in this race that are going to take some action. Well-bred, Casse, this is one who could get better, and at a price that's going to be much higher than, for instance, Collaborate. I like this horse.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the 20 to 1 either with Johnny V. But yeah, on the other hand, the 6 Toys with a heavy favorite, maybe he is nearing that 20 to 1 mark. I think even more than Collaborate, he's got to prove the class level, because State Bred's the first time, and then Tampa Bay, he was 1 to 5. There wasn't a lot in there. I guess one other horse ran a decent race, but he was impressive in both races. He's the other horse, along with Collaborate, that I can see on paper at least. Those 2 horses with only 2 races look like they might be the horses looking for the early lead here. And if one of them gets out, they become dangerous because they both have talent. He was geared down in that sprint race against State Breds at Gulfstream Park. So it was a very nice win, a horse of obvious talent. If Collaborate or Super Sandwich gets alone on the lead, I think they're a big threat. I like Collaborate a little bit more. It sounds like you like Soup and Sandwich a little bit more, Matt. But what I want to know is, who's your top pick?
My top pick, Brian, is Greatest Honor, as I hinted at before. I think if he keeps the form that he has been in with the extra distance, he's going to be very hard to beat. So for me in the Florida Derby, my top choice is Greatest Honor, and my long shot pick is Soup and Sandwich.
You got a side of a soup and sandwich. That's not bad, man. I'm getting hungry as we're doing this show. Greatest Honor, yeah, it's hard to go past him as the top pick, and he will be my top pick despite the odds. But I really do expect a good race from Known Agenda. So if he's the third or fourth choice in here, maybe 6-1 or something, I want to take a shot with Known Agenda here in the Florida Derby. Matt, hey, are you ready to travel, take the big trip across the Atlantic, across most of Europe, down to the Middle East for the $12 million Dubai World Cup? You ready to go, Matt?
I'm ready to go as long as I'm going virtually. I don't want to hop on a plane and go to Dubai, but virtually, absolutely.
Yeah, we're only going to do it virtually, Matt. It's almost instantaneous here at HorseCenter. We got the Dubai World Cup. It's a mile and a quarter at Meydan, $12 million. Frankly, Matt, I don't think this is the strongest Dubai World Cup I've seen. Perhaps it's on the weaker sides of the Dubai World Cups over the years. But Americans, as always, are well represented. And of course, since it's gone back to dirt again, the Americans have done pretty darn well in the Dubai World Cup. Maybe we don't see our biggest names, but we see some good horses led by Mystic Guide, Matt, the son of Go Zapper. You know, I was high on him early last year. Things didn't work out for the Triple Crown, but he's really starting to put it together of late.
Yeah, I agree with that, Brian. And I liked him last year too, when he was second in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and a winner of the Jim Dandy. He showed a lot of talent as a 3-year-old, and you talked about the Americans and how they've done in the Dubai World Cup. Hey, some of the biggest name American horses recently have been winners of the Dubai World Cup. Horses like Arrogate and California Chrome, Animal Kingdom, Curlin, Invasor, the Great Cigar was a winner of the Dubai World Cup. Those are some awfully heavy hitters. And if it weren't for the fact that, as you said, this seems to be a little bit of a weaker field in the Dubai World Cup, I would be a little bit unsure about the American horses fitting in the quality of that list of names that I mentioned before. But that seems to be the prevailing sentiment, that this isn't the toughest field, and Mystic Guide for me is leading the American contingent.
He sure is, and his return race, you said it, he was getting good last fall with those the wins in the Jim Dandy late last summer, I guess, and then very good second at a mile and a quarter, which is the distance of the Dubai World Cup. So he's pretty proven at a mile and a quarter. Good second in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, but his return race I thought was his best race yet. He's had blinkers on now for 3 starts, and it really seemed to help from trainer Mike Stidham for the son of Go Zapper. And his return race in the Go Zapper, or I'm sorry, in the what was the name of that race, Matt? The Razorback. The Razorback at Oakland Park was very impressive. It was a mile and 16th, and I'm always leery of horses who are jumping up from a mile and 16th to a mile and a quarter. Only one prep really for this long trip to Dubai. So for that reason, I do think he's vulnerable. On the other hand, I do think he could become one of America's best horses this year. I think he's on that path. Maybe this race takes something out of him. Maybe he's not quite ready for a mile and a quarter overseas. So I want to take a little shot to beat him in here. The American side also has Jesus's team, Matt. Son of Tapcher, I've underestimated him for a long time. The reformed claimer, folks. He was a claimer back early last year, has just put together a lot of good performances to hit the board in a lot of big races, Matt.
Absolutely. And I'm guilty of what you said also, Brian, of discounting him. And I think maybe at this point it's fair to discount him in terms of the win spot, but it's not a good idea to discount him getting a piece of the trifecta or the superfecta.
That's right. Putting him off the board seems silly at this point after races like third in the Preakness, second in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, second in the Pegasus World Cup. And in the Pegasus World Cup, Matt, I thought he ran a good race because Nick Sko just tore away from the field. And Jesus's team had to run wide, and he, as he does, a hard-trying horse. He kept coming, and he was second best in that Pegasus World Cup on a track probably not that conducive to ralliers. Mile and a quarter, I'm not sure, but why not? Why not rally into the picture again? Sleepy Eyes Todd, Matt, is another American, I think the third choice of the Americans, and he's been all over the place, whether we're talking about Nebraska or Minnesota or Texas or who knows where Sleepy Eyes Todd has been. He's run all over the place. He ran a decent enough race in the Saudi Cup. He ran a decent enough race in the Pegasus World Cup. Didn't really threaten anything in either. Now he tries to do Dubai World Cup. Maybe it's the easiest spot yet. It's possible that Sleepy Eyes Todd could jump up.
I guess so. Yeah, he was fifth in the Saudi Cup, fourth in the Pegasus, and before that had some, had a couple of nice victories here in the States. But for me, like you said, he might be the third choice amongst the Americans.
Yeah, and the fourth choice amongst the Americans is Title Ready, Matt. A son of More Than Ready, who's kind of bounced around. He's done some good things. I think he's just slowly continuing to improve, though, as horses in the Dallas Stewart barn tend to do. And after kind of failing at the end of last year, he ran a couple good races, but he wasn't really a factor at all in races like the Breeders' Cup Classic or the Clark. I like what I saw in the return race at Fairgrounds. I guess it was called the Louisiana, and no pace. He rallied nicely for the win. I think he can handle 1.25 miles, Matt. This is my long shot in the Dubai World Cup.
Fair enough, Brian, and he certainly is going to be a long shot. Typical kind of Dallas Stewart. Yeah, he is maybe a slowly improving horse. I think at this point the question is he better than a grade 3 horse? We'll find that out. I don't know what the Dubai World Cup will tell us, or heading down the road. He gets the services of one of my favorite jockeys, the international star Ryan Moore.
Yeah, you are a big Ryan Moore fan, Matt. I know that personally. Hey, Title Ready, yeah, he should have big odds, and maybe you're right. Maybe he'll always be a grade 3 type, but his first race of the year was better than grade 3 type for me. I hope he doesn't fall 15 lengths out, because it's tough to make up that ground at Meydan, but I think he's got a shot in a Dubai World Cup that didn't come up strong, and the odds will be right. Of the rest, Matt, we have Salute the Soldier, who's won 2 straight rounds of the Al Maktoum Challenge. We've got Military Law, who I think didn't like the fast pace of the Saudi Cup. He may do better back at Meydan, slower pace at 1.25 miles. We've got Great Scott, who rallied up into that Saudi Cup picture to get third. And then we got Magny Cours, Matt, who's got good form on turf in France, but he's really bred for dirt.
Yeah, Brian, and that's what attracted me, along with the fact that he is trained by the outstanding Andre Fabre. But like you said, grade 1 winner more than once in turf races in France. So we know that he can get distance. We know he's facing tough competition in those races, and he's got an amazing dirt pedigree on both sides, on the sire side and on the dam side. And mentioning some of the others, it's interesting. We'll see what kind of price we get, because as you know, fans, there is no wagering on horse racing in Dubai, actually. So the pools that we'll be able to bet in on that race is just going to contain American money. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of odds come with Magny Cours.
Yeah, Magny Cours couldn't be much better bred for dirt. As you said, a wonderful female family, Medaglia d'Oro. So it'll be interesting to see what he can get done on dirt. The Dubai World Cup is a big place to try. But yeah, I think he is an interesting long shot of the foreign horses at well, Matt. But as I said, I like Title Ready too. Title Ready is my top long shot, because I already know he's a dirt horse. Mystic Guide, probably the horse to beat, but maybe a vulnerable favorite over there at Meydan.
So Title Ready is your top pick and your long shot pick, Brian. For me, I'm going to stick with Mystic Guide as the top choice and Magny Cours as my long shot.
Yeah, hey, I wouldn't mind a Title Ready and Magny Cours exacta box, Matt. That could be balloons. Matt, that's our show. I'm already excited about what we have coming next week. But before I start talking about that, can I get a parting shot from you, my friend?
Absolutely, Brian. I hope fans, you're enjoying the show, and I hope that you're enjoying all the new graphic packages that our new producer Tony Bada Bing has put together. So stick with us as we head to the Kentucky Derby, which is like 35 days or something like that, Brian, until the first Saturday in May.
I'm not a math teacher, Matt, but it's 37 days on my abacus here. Hey, that's pretty darn close. And next week we of course are going to talk about a gaggle of big preps, Matt. We got the Wood Memorial, we got the Santa Anita Derby, we got the Bluegrass. What don't we have next week here on Horse Center? Thanks to Tony Bada Bing, our producer. Thanks to Candace Curtis for the graphics help as well. And folks, thank you for watching every week. We sure do appreciate it. Matt and I will be back with a big Kentucky Derby prep show next week, right here on Horse Center.